Okay, I gotta start this over. Um, this is my first Weaver's Delight loom I ever bought. Bought it in '89. Um, I got some parts from Walter Tickle at the time to make it work, and paid $100 for it. I bought it up in Westernport, Maryland, off of a man. Last name was Miller. He lived in Franklin. It was in an old shed, had ice on it because it was out in his shed and it leaked. But it had a few problems, and we were able to buy parts. And Garland Tickle from Omaha, Nebraska is where we bought them from, and he was still making these looms, the Weaver's Delight. And he's passed, and nobody makes these anymore. And the only way I figure you can get parts for them is to either make them yourself, which I'm not that I can't make parts, and or find another loom like it and take parts off it if you can find a parts loom. I'm always looking for Weaver's Delights because of the parts you can't buy anymore. Wish you could, like the pawl and major, parts that make it work, but not that fortunate anymore. If I'd known way back then, I could have bought extra parts when I did it, but I didn't. You don't think that far ahead sometimes. So, this is my first time doing upholstery. David Redding was here with his girlfriend Betsy, and they brought me a huge roll of upholstery on a roll. And so I'm going to try it. I didn't cut a lot today. I got to cut some more. I just cut some strips off of the bolt, and I just want to see how it's going to lay in the shed and everything. And then when I cut more, I'll uh, I'll post that. But right now, I'm just going to see. I only, as you see, I don't have much on my shuttle. But I'm going to hem this one. So I'm making a header. It's going to be like 4 inches long in the header, which is going to be white. And I got 3 strands of warp that I rolled evenly, and that's how many pieces of warp is going through the shed at one time. Um, so I'll make this header about 4 inches long so I can hem it on my. I have a Juki. It's an industrial machine that will hem these. I have a 3515 treadle, and sometimes it doesn't want to go through it all. So it just gets a little thicker as I, fold it. And my Juki handles this real good. So thank you, David Redding, if you're watching. Uh, he had a very successful trip. He picked up a loom that we bought for him. He paid me. He mailed the money, and it was a Weaver's Delight loom we picked up in Cumberland for him. He needed it for a parts loom, or maybe it's good enough he'll just get it running because he's got other looms that he can part it out, I guess. And he picked up a couple Weaver's Delights, one for me and one on the way home. And he found two Newcomb um, little daisies. I'm envious, really envious of that one. Would love to have a little daisy. Um, and let's see, Weaver's Delights, Little Daisies. I think that's all we picked up. I don't know if he picked up any Union looms or not. He's really not really into Union looms. He's mainly into the Newcomb. He lives near the old Newcomb Loom Factory there in around Davenport. Is it Davenport? I think so. And so he's got a history with these looms, growing up, and he knew Garland Tickle. And so, it's pretty interesting. He never wove till like, 5 years ago, 4. Uh, so this is an adventure for him. He's a good weaver. He made over 100 rugs this winter. Puts me to shame. Um, he gave me one. He mailed it in the mail for me, and I got it upstairs in my living room. So that was nice. I like to have other weavers' rugs, even if I just buy one because it's their history. And a lot of people don't do this anymore. So it's really special when you find someone that weaves and you can buy one of the rugs and, you know, you got a piece of their history, which is nice. Okay, I'll weave a little bit. Weaving's the same. It's the easy part of the whole shebang. The warping of the loom's not, it's tedious and it takes a while. It takes me 3 to 4 days to warp up a loom if I'm on my game, yeah. Long time ago when I was younger, I could warp up a loom in a day, you know. My back doesn't take it anymore, and, you know, I had to pop those Advil reliefs. And, and after you warp it, you know, the preparation begins of cutting and sewing your weft, what you're going to put through your rug. I got allergies, and I'm going to sneeze. Excuse me. And so it's a process, and weaving's the easiest part of the whole thing. I hate cutting and sewing. It's a long process just to make a rug. So here we go. I got 3 shots on here so far of the header. And like I said, this won't be tied. So once I take it off the loom, I'll hem it. I haven't worked this loom since last year. I just got it through the head or the reeds yesterday. I sat here and did that. I won't count as I weave the header because I'll just measure. I'll just make sure it's like 4 inches. And you always have to have a little bow in your warp. You don't tighten it. You just kind of give it a little jerk here and then you lay it slanted. I got to adjust my brake a little bit to make the back beam go. It's all automatic, and you adjust the tension of on your brake as you weave. Make sure it don't come forward too fast or not at all. I like the Weaver's Delights. They're really nice looms. I had problems with my other one that's on this side of this Weaver's Delight. It wasn't advancing in the front, and he took old parts and put it on my own old loom, and he got it working pretty good. As I see, I have 4 rugs almost on that one, but it does the Hollywood pattern. This one's just a plain weave. This one I've never had doing any other but the plain. I have the cams for it, but I'll just let it set up for the plain. The only thing about the Hollywood pattern, you get floating threads on the sides, and it takes a little longer to weave a rug on that one because of that. So I don't want 2 of them like that. I think it's coming too fast. I thought I had the brake pretty tight. I have to see. I had already had my looms kind of ready for the fly shuttle to be taken off. We took the fly shuttles off both of these looms. It freed up. Oh my golly. I'll have to measure, but I'd say 30 some inches on between the 2 looms. It freed up. I should measure that just to see how much space it freed up. It really freed up a lot. Let's see here. It freed up about 45 inches on this in between the looms, and then it probably freed up about I'm going to say about 18 inches on this side. So now I won't be catching my clothes and ripping my clothes on them and trying to get between the two looms. So I don't have that problem anymore. And I can't put the fly shuttles back on. I don't want them on. I'll never use them. They're a pain in the butt. And actually, it's slower weaving with them on. I had this one working at one time. When I first bought it, I made sure it all worked and everything. I didn't like filling the cylinders. That was slow. You never knew how much was in the cylinders because they're aluminum. So you can't see through them, so you never know, how much you got in there left. It just, in between all that, you can roll it on a shuttle and weave it by hand a lot faster, and you can use that fly shuttle. I think a lot of people use the fly shuttle just for, that's the history of the loom, that's what it's supposed to do, that's how you're supposed to use it. But to me, it's not feasible because it slows you down. Too much work there involved in filling them. And you have a boat shuttle. I'll have to show you one sometime. I don't have one sitting here beside me. But sometimes when my fly shuttle threw that boat with the cylinder in it, it would catch my warp and it would snap it. If it had any kind of, I call it a hangnail, you had to make sure that whole fly shuttle or the boat shuttle, was smooth, or it would snap your threads. And there you go. You have more work to do because you just snapped a thread. You could fix that, but it takes a little time because you got to get another piece of warp and tie it to both ends and try to, finagle it in. And not for me. I'll take, some lady commented, I call it decapitating your loom when you take the fly shuttles off. But that don't bother me. I'll never want them back on. No, they're not usable. No, I can't put them back on once you saw them off. Don't bother me. I'll just keep them for a memento. They came off the looms. But we were going to do it the right way. You got to take this whole beater off, and you got to take the reed out, and you got to have a new piece of board and groove it for your reed. There's a process. It's not, my friend Mary McLean, she did it herself, and she's an amazing woman. That's all I can say about her. She's amazing. And so she did that to her loom, but she didn't saw hers off. But her loom was given to her by her brother-in-law, and he did a lot of work to her loom, and she didn't want to damage any parts of it because he used his own money. He took all this time to make it like brand new. And I can understand her thinking, because if somebody gave me a loom and put that much work into a loom, you don't want to, saw the shuttles off or nothing, the fly shuttle, because he put a lot of work to make it work and everything, what I mean. And she preserved every part that she took off that loom, and she'll always have it. Because he did, it was so nice of him to put all his time and work in it. And I see your point. These looms, my son would like to have this one, far as I know. That's what he said, because it was my first weavers. And I can't see anybody putting those fly shuttles back on. That's why I took them off the way we did. My husband was prepared to do it the right way. And I just said, saw them off. I'm never going to use them again. If the next person that gets it doesn't like that, they can get another parts loom like this and take the beater off of it if it still has the fly shuttle. Yes, it can be repaired. All you have to do is take my beater off of this one and put another part off another loom that still has the fly shuttles attached to the beater. You can do that, but I just can't reattach the parts I took off. There is some parts, metal parts and stuff that came off. I kept those, and yes, they could be put back on, but I would have to find another beater with the reed in it to fix this back to normal. Um, I don't see it happening. Everybody that I hear doesn't want that working no more. And a lot of people don't think it will work without it. Even though you're not using it, you're feeding it by hand. A lot of people think, you can't work the loom if you took those off, put it that way. And yes, you can. You can work the loom just as well. It works just as well. And all you're doing is freeing up the space that it's taken. I've ripped several pairs of pants and some shirts on my fly shuttles. Now I don't have that problem no more. I just fixed a pair of pants I ripped on them, going around my loom. So, it's all who you are and what you want to do with your loom. And this is what I wanted. So, that answers some questions if anybody wants to know about a weaver's delight. And David Redding, he took off some parts I didn't know you could take off. I would probably have left them on, but he said you don't need them. So he was a big help when he was in from Nebraska. It wasn't this loom he worked on, it was the other one beside it. And he sat here, might have taken him an hour, I'm not sure, to take off the parts that I did not need on this one. And there are still some parts that I don't need. He told my husband, Greg, how to modify it a little bit. It has weights. It has two weights, one on one side, one on the other. The one, I think it controls the advanced mechanism. I'm not sure. And the weight on this side controls a mechanism over here that this loom doesn't have. Because that loom over here is like 20 some years older than this one. So when they first made them, they had weights. And so this one was made in the 50s and it doesn't have the weights. And I will keep the weights and stuff like that with the other stuff he took off, because when I got that, when it was at an auction for $75, we got it. And Janet Meady was still living then, and I corresponded with her. She's from, she kind of helped with the Newcomb Loom Historical Society in parts. And she asked me if it had the weights, and I said yes. She said that's good, because a lot of times if they don't come with the weights, they're hard to find. And yes, they are, because they only made them so long with the old looms, and then they modified it without the weights. So if you're looking for weights, that's going to be a little problem, because they're probably hard to find. But you can find them. It's just that they're not out there in the wild, just hanging out. And I gotta watch. This is 18 minutes long, and I can only go like 20 to 25 minutes. I've said it before. My videos don't download very good. I could start downloading a video one night and it might not even be loaded the next night. Like I said, our internet here, our Wi-Fi and internet is crap. If I really want to download it fast, I have to go to town or something to pick up the signal from my phone, my phone provider. That's the only way I get a lot of my videos downloaded, because of that. If I try to load it on our Wi-Fi here, our TV gets slow, everything gets slow, and you can't half use the internet at all. You think with the internet and my service all pulling for that video, it would go pretty quick, but it doesn't. If there's anything you want to know about the Weaver's Delight, I can let you know. And David Redding is in on the Nukem Loom site. So if you ever want to know the right way to do your loom, I recommend you to look him up because he's got pictures and everything of how he did it, the measurements, all that stuff. He's wonderful. Very knowledgeable. And Mary McLean, she came down to meet him. You know, because I told her, I said, it's good to know other people that weave because everybody's got their own way. Everybody's got different ways of doing stuff. And going to different people that run these looms, you learn a lot because everybody does something different. Somebody's got a suggestion. And she knows some other people that has a loom, and she wants to go meet them sometime. And I told her I would definitely go see them because the way I do something, they might have a different way. You know what I mean? Everybody has their own way or have learned something that maybe I don't know, and that's how you learn and keep up to date how people do things. You know, I learned stuff from Karen Faulkner. She's a rug weaver, but with health problems right now, she can't do the weaving she did. But she had on the headers, she used those Elmer's glue or Mod Podge to keep it. It's just a quick fix while you're weaving, and when you take your rug off, it makes your header not move until you get it done or you sew or you tie it. It stays in place. But it's just a fix for the moment, you know what I mean? Well, after you wash it and stuff, it just comes out. But it's holding everything until you get that part done. I learned that. I mean, that was really interesting for her saying that. I learned that about a year and a half ago from her. And she's an awesome lady too. So see, I learned something, and I've been weaving since I was 28, and I'm 67 now. And so there's no time limit to learn anything. Just tips, you know, from other people how they handle stuff and do things. I love that. Yep. Anything I can learn, even today, I'm very grateful. Okay, this is 3 inches right now, so I got another inch to go. And then I'll show you the upholstery I'm going to be weaving. Give you my opinion. Of it.